the country by storm.
This is NerdRadio.
That one's my favorite.
It is, yeah, because it makes you feel like you're in the olden days.
It's a period piece,
yeah,
and it's Party Dude.
It's a period piece.
It's Joel the Party Dude,
right?
Joel.
Al, if you were a time traveler, where would you go?
Oh man, not farther back than dentistry.
No,
I want to make sure there's toothpaste wherever I go.
Do you go back to like the beginnings of television or something? Yeah. Relive like the Groucho Marx show.
See, here's the thing. Like, I love history.
Yeah.
And in my mind,
I know where you'd go first.
Go visit Diogenes.
Yes!
in his barrel.
In his barrel.
In his stinky ass barrel.
You'd go get Diogenes to yell at you, and then you'd go about your business.
It would be amazing to get trolled by Diogenes.
That would be your first stop.
Amazing, yeah. But it's funny. I've been listening to audiobooks on Audible lately.
Okay.
And I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, I need to find like a biography on Diogenes.
Yeah.
And listen to that. I'm listening to something right now, so I haven't searched for one, but it's funny.
Right.
You bring him up because I was thinking about him like a week ago.
Al Beck is probably the only Diogenes fanboy in the world.
You know what? It's a thing.
He's not.
I didn't realize that. For me, it started, I was reading a magazine, a history magazine.
He's reading a magazine.
Yep.
And it's a history magazine. I hope everybody sees the irony in this.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever told this story on the Twitch stream, but I know that I've heard this story, and it gets funnier every single time.
And it was just this little article about this, and it took me I'd never heard of him before. We've all heard of Plato and Socrates. I'd never heard of Diogenes, and so I don't know. I'm just reading this thing. And I start reading about this stinky original hippie troll guy, and God, everyone hated him because he was such an ass. He was a philosopher. He was homeless. He lived in a barrel, which I imagine him dragging down the street,
right,
to plop it down at the foot of the steps of
it's like the very first trailer.
Yes,
and he would just put it wherever it was most inconvenient.
Yes, exactly, like the steps of the Forum, as it were. Like the Capitol building, whatever the big market was. The most amount of foot traffic is where he decided to place his barrel to live.
Yep,
and didn't clean himself very well. There was like I said, he was the original internet troll because it was. He was a student of Socrates and a rival of Plato, and Plato had that deeply, thought out idea that man was nothing more than a plucked chicken, and he was discussing things with students and listeners, and Diogenes showed up in the doorway and threw in a naked chicken and said, "Behold, Plato, a man!" and then just ran off. And I know that there was another famous story about Alexander the Great was a big fan of his and loved this guy and went to go visit him in his barrel.
Wow.
And he went and he's standing before him, Diogenes the Great. I am Alexander the Great, and I've been seeking to meet with you and see you and partake in your wisdom. And Diogenes said, "You're standing in my son Alexander the Great. Get your great ass out of here." And it's just, I love it. And so I love that it was just like a little 2-page article. I really don't know that much about him. Like all those stories are basically all I know about the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what his philosophies were or anything, but I just loved, he was like if James was in ancient Greece.
Wow.
he's ancient James.
Wow. There's a nude man standing in front of the Forum.
So, no, I would, but you know what? He probably smelled really bad, and everyone around him would have smelled really bad. So,
I'm sure.
But to answer your question, which you asked me 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, can we travel back in time to when the question was asked?
Yeah, right. Where he would go if he was a time traveler?
In reality, the answer to that question is I would love to think I would go visit Diogenes or see the Roman Empire or maybe get a glimpse of the First World War and all these things that fascinate me. But I don't go anywhere now. So I would travel back to when I was skinnier maybe and I wouldn't go anywhere, so time travel would be so wasted on me.
Yeah.
It really would be.
When I was a kid, I used to think that, man, it would be cool to, take the Nintendo Entertainment System back to the 50s and blow people's minds.
Oh, you'll be able to hook it up.
Right, but now that I'm older, I would just go back to when I was a kid so I could, go to Children's Palace and walk around.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that old toy store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just go to back when I was a kid for things that don't exist anymore.
Oh, I forgot
Right.
about Children's Palace. Now it's a Gander Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would go back to I would go
Yeah.
back to the early 80s when McDonald's had the McBLT and
Wow.
and order one of those with the big styrofoam
You
things. Just 'cause
really
I haven't had
living
one in
life.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wouldn't go that far back at all, and I wouldn't even use it for anything altruistic. You know, I wouldn't be like, man, I can stop Hitler, or I can do this. Like, no, I just want to walk around a toy store.
That's funny because I'm going to the future to find out some stock market tips and things like that,
Some
so I can take that right back here
Yeah,
and set myself up for a future of
You're going to do the Biff.
rich and fame.
You're doing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
old man Biff.
absolutely.
yep.
Old man Biff, but I'm just not going to start off my casino and bang my neighbor's wife and put their kid in jail and anything like that.
Hello, McJames.
Yeah. Make like a tree and get out of here, Al. My gosh.
Oh, I love it.
Well, while we're talking about multiversal stuff, have you guys heard the news that Jamie Foxx may be coming back as Electro
Interesting.
for the next Spider-Man movie?
No, I had not heard that.
He was Electro in the second Amazing Spider-Man, along with Paul Giamatti as the Rhino.
Yeah.
Which was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, they're talking about he's been cast for Max Dillon for the next Spider-Man movie.
But
And
that was the second one that Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man in,
Yes.
right? Okay, I don't remember. I can barely recall either of those two movies.
yeah,
So when you said Rhino, I'm like, oh my god, Rhino was a bad guy in one of these movies.
Yep.
Where? I must
Yeah,
have been
that-
asleep.
But the first one was when they did the Gwen Stacy thing, right?
the second one is when Gwen they do the
But they
famous
do
Gwen Stacy.
yes, but they actually like Gwen Stacy's actually in it, whereas
Yes.
the Tobey Maguire ones I think basically ignored her existence altogether.
It was
There's
all
a-
Mary Jane.
There's a character in
Yeah.
the third movies that I think it's supposed to be Gwen. Sounded like the tree hit the window.
I know.
I thought it was an explosion.
There's a platinum blonde in the third Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie that I think was supposed to be Gwen.
Mm.
But yeah, it's good. They had no Mary Jane in those second movies and used purely Gwen Stacy for Amazing Spider-Man. So yeah, the idea that we've obviously got a Doctor Strange movie that's supposed to open up a multiverse.
Yeah.
And they're talking about there's going to be another Edge of the Spider-Verse. There's even rumors that they may get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to do voice Spider-Man in that next one,
Really?
so that they can kind of merge them all together.
That'd be actually would make pretty good sense, especially for Sony to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and then they got all these properties that they own now tied directly into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I say if they're bringing back another actor from one of the other Spider-Man movies, why not bring back Marissa Tomei?
Yeah, whatchamacallit?
Aunt May.
Oh, of course. You
Yeah.
gotta.
The Aunt May that gave me a lot of confused feelings.
Yeah, right. I always thought Aunt May was an old lady. Aunt May.
Oh, and it's funny too if you go back and look at some of the original Spider-Man comics.
Oh, yeah.
and then you look at her now, like I mean, now she's still like an old lady
Right.
with white hair, but she's really held together. But I mean, yeah, no, she would have been blown to dust by a gentle breeze in the original.
Oh
comics.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. She was definitely somebody that you
Very frail.
you would keep under glass because you're
Yeah.
just afraid that she's gonna crumble. I really liked Aunt May in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. You ever read those? Because she was like a stern but cool mom for
Sure.
Peter. Like there was a particular scene when he gets his job at the Daily Bugle, and he's working on the website instead of taking pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In the Ultimate books, because those are supposed to be set in the 2000s,
Okay.
as opposed to the 60s. Jonah fires him for speaking up against him being anti-Spider-Man. And she calls the Bugle and gets Jonah on the phone and just browbeats him into giving Peter his job back.
She's a helicopter mom.
A little bit,
Oh,
She's
no.
a Karen.
Oh no,
She was a Karen.
but it was cool.
Aunt May was a Karen.
Aunt Kay, no.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, Jonah was on the wrong side of this argument, and it was cool to have Aunt May be like, "Don't you treat my nephew like that," and him be like, "I can't yell at this old lady."
I just hope Aunt May doesn't get her order wrong at McDonald's.
Well, yeah.
She's gonna let those workers have it.
Speaking about Marvel stuff, though, the news came down last week that we actually have it over on the Checkpoint XP site and over on the Rift site as well, that Sam Jackson coming back
Is he officially?
for a Disney Plus show about Nick
Oh.
Fury,
Wow.
which will be neat. And they cast Miss Marvel.
Is he still the only actor from the movies that made a cameo in Shield?
I think so.
Because it was just like the very first episode. Oh, if you don't count the Phil Coulson actor,
Right.
who was the main character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But
Yeah.
I think he was the only one that ever actually appeared in it. You never see Chris Hemsworth or anybody. I don't think.
No, I think you're right. I don't think they ever got almost anybody else for S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know. We both quit watching like 2 or 3 seasons in. So
Wow.
this is the wrong room to ask.
Made it farther than I did because I didn't watch a single episode.
That's a good point.
But yeah, they've cast Kamala Khan for the Miss Marvel show that's going to be on Disney Plus. Her name is Iman Vellani. She's a young Indian girl, and it's going to be cool to see, especially after seeing Kamala in the Avengers game.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool to see what they can do with her with the Marvel universe.
CGI and stuff with
Yeah.
those big fists punching you around.
Yep.
She's got some cool powers. It'll be a fun show to watch.
And that's the thing, too, because she is, from the comics, every translation, the reason she takes the Miss Marvel name is because she's a huge fan of Carol Danvers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really hopeful that they can get Brie Larson to be in at least one episode of the Disney Plus show, so you can see her be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it's Carol Danvers.
Well, Disney, I think, is one of the few places that have money anymore. So.
Yep.
Well,
So maybe they can throw enough at her.
well, they may be one of the few places, but you know another place that's got a bunch of money? Amazon.
Well,
And part of the
yeah, Valiant Summer earlier said something about, I think it was Valiant Summer, said we should have gone back in time to invest in Amazon.
invest in Amazon, yeah, that's not a bad idea. But part of the reason
Or
for
start our own. This one's Nile.
Yes.
Buy all your stuff on
River.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Mississippi.
Just different rivers. Just keep throwing one out there until it sticks.
Well, part of the reason that Amazon is doing well is that The Boys is actually starting to catch up to a lot of the Netflix shows as far as
Wow.
Really?
fan base and viewing thing. And I'm
That's
sure
a pretty big deal.
I'm sure a part of that is releasing the episodes weekly as
Making it
opposed to
come
giving
back,
us all. Now that I think the last episode of this season might be next week or this Friday.
Oh, wow.
And now that we're here, I can absolutely understand why they spread them out week to week, because if you'd given me all of that in one sitting, some of it wouldn't have landed as hard, whereas making me wait a week and then getting that, 55 minutes of like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that is makes every episode a little bit more special.
Maybe that's what I'll do at my uncle's, is catch up on that.
You should.
Dude, yes. Like, I think I'm all caught up now.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's even better than the first season. Like, it actually makes me want to be like, hey, Al, I need to borrow those books again. I'm actually going to
Yeah.
read them this time.
Yeah.
Instead of just collecting dust on my kitchen table.
And I don't think this is a huge spoiler, but in the last episode, one of the characters was watching a bunch of porn that's based off of the Seven. And Eric Kripp, the one of the showrunners for The Boys, has told people that they filmed full porn scenes for all those clips you saw of like
full porn scenes for
of-
those?
of,
Oh,
like,
my Lord.
the Homelander porn actor
Yeah. When
getting down with somebody and everything like that. And he's
bull
like,
in a cuck porn.
yeah, I'm sure part of it is just making fun of the Snyder Cut, but he's like, hey, just start a hashtag, get in and tell Amazon you want to see the full scenes.
That's funny.
Because they're there. But yeah, that show is fantastic. I really do hope you catch up on it real soon, Al, because we got to have a conversation about this show. It's so good. Yeah, while we're talking about stuff to watch, James, you said over the weekend you did watch the NXT on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get into the Capitol Center Wrestling or whatever
I
like
did
that?
not.
Because
no.
they've
I didn't even know
changed-
there was the ability to do that until we tuned in and watched.
Yeah, they've changed the Performance Center where they've been filming, since back in March. They obviously, we talked about, they've got an arena that they're filming Raw and SmackDown in called the Thunderdome, and that's where all the screens are.
Yeah.
That you can do the cool thing. Well, now they've changed up the Performance Center and they're calling it, I think it's like Capitol Wrestling Arena or something like that. And they took those LED screens and they kind of lined the top, 10 feet or 6 feet of each wall with those screens, and now they can have people on the screens up there while they've got people down in the stands as well. So they can do the same thing they've done with the Thunderdome,
Yeah.
where you can get online and be there. Also gives them the excuse to pump in crowd noise, which I don't know if I dig that. But
Yeah, I mean, the crowd noise, the people on the screens makes the crowd noise feel a little more realistic.
Yeah.
yeah.
But do they do with every takeover? Do they line everything up with those chain link fences like they did this time around, or is that something that was new to the Capitol Arena or whatever they?
No, I think that was new.
because I thought that looked cool. I thought, like, my fiance and I thought the way they had the ring and stuff set up for NXT looked cooler than what the WWE's got going on with SmackDown and Raw.
I liked it a lot better
like
too.
It looked cool. They have like a little like pit area with people in the crowd like pounding on the fences, on the chain link fences. And
Yeah, they've got fences, but
glass.
then they've also got like the hockey glass
Yeah.
in front of it.
Oh, okay.
But I think they did a great job of setting up the arena and setting up the ring. I mean,
Yeah.
the pay-per-view overall, I mean, the Finn Balor match,
Yeah, Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly.
incredibly brutal match.
Yeah, it was really it's troubling to see both of them bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah. And
by the
you
time
don't
that
know-
match was
Yeah,
over.
and you just wonder, like, did somebody really get hurt, or is that all part, did somebody have a blood capsule? Because that blood in Finn's mouth was so dark.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing too. Is like
thick.
we've seen wrestlers bleed before, and you get used to like a particular shade of like wrestler blood.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, oh, he just cut his forehead or something like that, and it looks a particular way, or something like that. But yeah,
It was like dark red. And it looked like it was a shot of, was it O'Reilly?
yeah.
It looked like his teeth were all busted out.
I think he just hasn't had great teeth in the first place.
Okay, well, that's my bad. Sorry for judging you based on your dental work.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was NXT is a fine show all the time, anyways. But it's interesting too because you can not watch NXT like the weekly show for months at a time, and then just watch a takeover and be like, "Well, goddamn, that was amazing.
Yeah.
that was really cool." But yeah, that was neat to see. But one of the things that we talked about a little bit last month when the news came out is that the WWE is looking to take over all the talent's Twitch streams in the next couple of weeks. Actually,
Yeah, it seemed like they weren't going to do that. They were going to let them operate under their legal names.
Yes.
They had to remove all of their actual wrestling names from the channel or whatever.
right.
But I think they've made a turn to decide, nope, we're taking them anyways.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, last month an email went out, and obviously the internet wrestling community got a hold of it because of the talent weren't very cool with it. But you've got a lot of wrestlers, especially this year, that will have Twitch streams, not necessarily play video games, so just sit and talk, man. Like AJ Styles has one, Miro in AEW, who used to be Rusev, Dakota Kai from NXT. We talked about how much money Paige makes
Paige, yep.
on her Twitch. And yeah, they sent out a thing saying you can no longer use your wrestling name on a Twitch. That's our trademark. So they said, okay, fine. Well, I'll just use my actual name. And they said, well, no, that's not cool either because your persona, your face is like the character that people
Are tuning in
to see because they know you from your stuff. So the WWE is looking to take over talent's Twitch accounts, also looking to make people, some of the talent that doesn't have Twitch accounts actually start Twitch accounts, which seems very weird. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is
That sucks. That's bull.
yeah, two stories about this. First of all, the fact that let me see if I can find it here. They're saying that and one of the reasons this came up is it wasn't just strictly Twitch. It was like you got a lot of wrestlers like Big E, for instance, from the New Day, is making a bunch of bank on Cameo.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah,
How much does it cost to get a cameo? I would love a cameo from Big E.
I think it may be $100.
Wow, that's
something
not
like
bad.
that.
I should have Big E just do a cameo for me.
Right, but the WWE is looking at that revenue and being like, no, we want a piece of that pie because you're doing it. And according to what's going on, they're saying that if they don't stop doing it on their own and give WWE a piece of it, they can be fined, suspended, and possibly even fired.
I'll be like, here's the thing. You're going to fire me? I might not be making as much bank as I was making, putting my body on the line for you in the ring, Mr. McMahon. But I can still make a decent living on my own and just peace out, I'm sure AEW would pick up some of these wrestlers that are going to leave.
Right.
You could go wrestle for another league once you're... I'm sure they got some crazy non-compete in their contracts, but
that's the thing is that you have All Elite Wrestling, and those guys obviously go ahead, have a Twitch stream. We don't care. You've got Impact Wrestling, which you're not going to make WWE money when you're over there, but you're going to have the creative freedom.
Yeah.
Still be able to do what you want to do.
That's a great point too, though, because for a long, long time, WWE was pretty much the only game in town.
Sure.
On that level, that national, there was all these smaller, companies or
Independent.
whatever, independents, but like you said, they aren't like WWE is still the top dog.
Yeah.
But, there's still Pepsi and RC Cola out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, put Pepsi with RC Cola. How dare you?
Now, as a side note, when I bring up WWE money, how much do you think the guys are getting for having their likeness in WWE 2K Battlegrounds?
Well, I believe some friends in the wrestling community that I had talked to had dropped a number for being in the WWE 2K19 game.
Okay.
They were paid like $20,000 for
Okay.
their likeness to be used in the game.
Because according to this,
And that was like a lower tier wrestler that wasn't like a main
Sure.
champion or a main roster member. They were just they were there.
according to Fightful Select, one talent claimed they're getting a $35,000 bonus for being in
Nice.
2K Battlegrounds.
Dude, put me in 2K Battlegrounds, McMahon. I'll do it for $15K.
Yeah, to have your likeness
And I'll be fully nude if you want.
in a video game. That's kind of cool.
You do it for 3 cheesy gordita crunches.
That's
Fully
true. Al,
nude in
come
the-
on, Al. I'm trying to start high and go in and negotiate down to the cheesy gordita crunches. I could have got like a years of cheesy gordita crunches.
That's all right. They could talk me down to a hot and ready.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, I do love me a hot.
I don't know
ready.
I don't think anybody's gonna play our wrestling game. Me and Al, James versus Al,
Yeah.
wrestling.
I'm sweating out of breath just walking to the ring. I can't get between the ropes.
The entrance video of him getting in the ring takes like 7-8 minutes. By
Yeah.
the time he gets into the ring, nobody wants to play the game anymore.
Yeah. My character looks like Rashiki let himself
Yeah.
go.
But that's the other thing I wanted to bring up is that on Monday, Paige, who we talked about before, tweeted out something about learning a lot about unionism today.
Yeah,
Which is a dirty word for
Yeah.
WWE wrestlers.
Mhm.
That's been a news story multiple times. It was on the John Oliver show? He did a big thing in the last year.
Yeah, you put me onto that little expose, so
Yeah,
to speak. It's
about
crazy.
how they did, if they need to unionize.
No health insurance, nothing. All they do is they cut you a check. You're an independent contractor that's not allowed to go work for anybody else. It doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
how they run their business. I mean, I understand how they're trying to protect their product, but at the same time, these are real human beings.
In a year, especially in the last 12 months, in a year where you do have a major competitor and you haven't been able to wrestle in front of crowds in like 7 or 8 months at this point, it seems really stupid for WWE to decide to, mess around and try and find out. Like,
I agree.
I can't imagine being Xavier Woods and having built up, down on YouTube,
Yeah.
and then having WWE saying, that's ours. I'd be like, no,
yeah. It's
go ahead and
not.
fire me.
Yeah. Because I feel like he's probably making decent money with up, down, down.
Right.
I feel like just knowing what some of these streamers make and some of the things that like Robbie and Weird Beard over at Checkpoint XP have told me about, some of the gaming people and some of the people that stream,
Right.
the amount of money they bring in to just sit and play a video game. I feel like Xavier Woods already being WWE superstar. He's got that audience built in.
Right.
He's got, all these other wrestlers, whatchamacallit, Not Fandango. Why can't I think of these names?
Or
right now?
Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze.
Yeah.
And Adam Cole.
Adam Cole is on there all the time.
The Miz.
Zelina Vega,
Yeah.
her and Aleister Black have their own YouTube channel they just started up.
So
where
it's like the WWE is going to have to be careful because if these wrestlers just to be like, peace out,
right.
well, we're going to sit out our non-compete clause and we're just going to do our own thing on stream under our real legal names.
Yeah. And like if you still want to be a wrestler, it's not like you don't have options.
Exactly.
You're not going to get to be in a WWE video game, and you're not going to get to have your action figure in the store or something like that. But all these other companies, if they do well enough and they can be a competitor enough, AEW's got action figures now. They're talking about a video game next year. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility to still have a career outside
If they had
of the big
enough
ones.
of an exodus from big enough names to something like an AEW or whatever, like it could topple WWE off the top of the stack.
Yeah. So it's something we'll obviously talk about again as it becomes more and more of a news story.
Yeah, it just sounds stupid.
It's greedy, man.
It is.
Man, just
It
being
is.
greedy. Like you're a billionaire.
They're not hurting. You know what I mean?
No, it's another one of those companies that even in 2020 has posted, positive numbers,
Right.
even though you haven't gotten to do live shows in front of crowds. Like you're still making money. So what's the problem here?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a short break. I've got we talked about the PlayStation 5, which is impending on us within the next month or two or something like that.
November something.
I've got an
Fifth,
article
sixth,
from
12th.
Kotaku that has the launch titles for every generation of PlayStation.
Ooh.
And I'm curious if any of these titles, like you guys bought when you first got your PlayStation, or you still remember fondly. So we'll talk about that next on Nerd Radio.